Hello, hello, and welcome back to your guided notes for the second book of your HTE 4730 Hospitality Negotiations and Sales. We're going to talk about managing the marketing and sales office. Not always so easy, but let's go ahead and move into that slide. So here we are, the marketing and sales division found on page 86. People want to know what are the positions typically found in the marketing and sales office of a mid-sized property. Mid-sized to me is 200, 250 rooms and over. Of course, we always have a general manager. Then you have a director of sales. That was me. Hello. And sales manager, group accounts. That used to be me too. And a salesperson. That used to be me too. And clerical staff. Believe it or not, that was me too. And sales manager, individual accounts. Hello, that was me. And salesperson, yep, that's me. And clerical staff, yeah, I was all of that in my years leading up to before becoming your professor. So the hotel sales representatives found on page 107, let's see what we have to say. Many properties have turned to outside hotel sales representatives or sales assistants. These blank independent sales representatives or reps serve as out-of-town or market source business representatives for non-competing properties. Well, in today's world where you have a brand the size of Marriott and then of course Hyatt trying to get bigger by purchasing two roads, there are these individual, what I call boutique style hotels that really aren't under a flag name, and those usually like to have independent hotel sales representatives that will represent them in Washington, D.C., or Chicago, or New York, which is very good for a non-flagged property. Hiring effective salespeople. Oh my gosh. This is found on page 92. How do you hire the ideal salesperson? Good thought. Well, I would tell you that we are looking for people who will have elements of professionalism. They dress the part, they speak well, you can take them out in public and they won't embarrass you. They can dine well, they know how to ask questions, they know how to listen. That's an element of professionalism. They're smart. Yeah, they have to have intelligence in order to do that because, you know, you are selling to a customer, you represent your property. So yes, we do like intelligence. We do need people who are motivated because there's a lot of rejection in sales. And so you have to find your ways to be motivated, to get out there, to be able to take the rejection. There has to be persistence because customers will say no, customers will say no, customers will say no. But if you actually believe that your product will match their needs, then it actually works. That persistence does pay off. People in sales should have a good knowledge of their product offering. In this case, know what the property can do and what it can't do in terms of amount of meeting space, in terms of food and beverage capabilities, in terms of business centers, what you have in terms of the attractive portion of it, which would be a pool, a workout room, a whirlpool. There has to be this ability to communicate. And what do I mean by that? Well, we all know that more divorces happen because people can't communicate. Well, there are more loss in sales because of people not being able to communicate. So I would say that you have good written skills, good verbal skills, good body language skills as well. You have to be able to analyze. What do I mean by that? To be able to analyze a customer's RFP, understand the needs of that particular group meeting as it's going into your hotel. You need to be efficient. Oh gosh, as a salesperson, I would say this was probably my least positive quality as a salesperson. I tend to do things the long way. And you know, in this day of technology, using technology helps you to be more efficient. There's got to be a curiosity. If you ever stop being curious, you don't find those new accounts and those new market segments. In chapter 3, we're still evaluating the sales office. There's important questions to ask found on page 128. Number 1, does the organizational structure of the sales office make the most of the property's sales strengths? Another question to ask. Does the present structure encourage improvement, innovation, and creativity? And number 3, is the sales structure compatible with the overall organization structure of the property? In other words, do we have enough people or do we have too many. That never happens with too many people. Is authority properly delegated and understood at all levels? I mean, salespeople need to be able to say yes to their client, and if they have to go through several layers to get an approval, sometimes you lose your client. Do all members of the sales office understand and properly carry out the duties and responsibilities? Does the banquet staff know what it needs to do? Does the conference service staff know what they need to do? Does the front office staff know what they need to do? I would say 9 times out of 10, you are working with solid professionals. More important questions to ask found on page 128. Is the clerical staff performing duties that help salespeople spend as much time selling? Um, you know, uh, there's having an assistant, there's nothing better. And in this day and age, we reduce the number of assistants to a salesperson because technology does so much for us, but you still need the support of an administrative representative so that there can be those so that the salesperson is out there making those calls and talking to that customer. Have effective lines of communication been established between the sales office and other departments? Highly important. If I'm blocking a couple of hundred rooms, do I have a strong communication line between my front office? Do I have a strong communication line between the conference service team and me? Because once I get that contract signed, I have to hand it off to the conference service team in order to execute what the customer needs for their group meeting. Is correspondence being handled in a timely, orderly fashion? I'm telling you, sales teams get more requests for proposals called RFPs. They land all over their desk, and building the right um, uh, letter to respond to that RFP. If you can't do something, how you put that in there without losing the sale, incredibly important. Are the elements of operating a successful sales office in place? What does that mean? Do they have the space? Do they have the computers? Do they have the brochures? Do they have a current website? All of these operating components, those are the elements that make us successful because customers will first be looking at those websites. They might send that RFP in through the website. Do we have the correct processing for that? Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we have gone right through that material. I think that finding the right people, giving them the right product knowledge, extending to them all the tools that they need to be able to successfully sell is what's inherent to a successful salesperson. I hope you have enjoyed this portion of Chapter 3, which is managing and the marketing of a sales office. Thanks so much for your time. See you in the next set of guided notes. Bye now.